Do you ever want to know the basics of how to draw a face? Just so you can add crazy hairstyles and outfits, makeup, or throw paint over the whole thing? Well, today I'm going to show you how to draw a face the easy way. There are tons of methods and different techniques out there that you can learn. This isn't that. This is a super simple tutorial for complete beginners. And if all of that sounds like you, then keep watching. I got 3 colours, so hopefully this is going to make sense. I think the place where most artists begin is with a circle. You start by just doing a couple of circles to really get a feel for it. Now what the circle means is different for each artist. My circle is forehead to nose, so it's all the way around here. A lot of people do the skull and it meets the eyes. Make sure that when you choose one artist, you stick with that as you're learning. Next up, we want a line all the way down the middle. When a person is facing forward, the middle of the face is just a straight line, but I think the best way to imagine it is if you're drawing a line from the forehead to the tip of the nose and then back on the chin, you can see it's still straight, but then if you tilt slightly, that line actually becomes curved. If you end up doing other angles or side profiles, chin to nose to forehead, it's gonna be so helpful. So the next step is the eyes. I like to make my eyes slightly bigger. I like to make it a little bit more squished. So already this is how you can stylize. I'm gonna curve my eyes and pop my line there, just to squish the face, make it a little bit cuter. We have a triangle for our nose, and then each of our eyes are going to be around here. So let's pop in some ovals for where the eyes are going to be. If they're not even, you can just alter it slightly until you feel that each one is completely equal. And generally, you just want the distance between each to be pretty accurate. This is the tip of our nose, so we're just going to do another oval here. So that's our mouth loosely. Straight underneath, going to do a smaller oval here. This is the chin. We need to add the cheekbone and the jawline. For this, it's next to the eye socket here, and then go slightly out. Do that on both sides. Jawline as well, different on each person. I'm going to take the eye all the way down and match it to similar to where the lip is. Do you see that? And then we can just go up on that line for both of them and then join that together there. Now for the eyebrows, we're going to drag the nose all the way up here and then drag this nostril all the way around here. This is just our first sketch. These are the guidelines. You might want to add a little bit of hair at this point just to frame. It's the best time to frame the face now. And then we have ears. A great way to add ears but make them look a little bit cuter is to pop them a little bit higher than you would normally see. So say that the ear begins there. If you just raise them a little bit, that will generally look a little bit cuter. Obviously everyone's ears are different, but I do have a little technique. Okay, so say that this is the ear, this is a nice big ear. Do an upside down number 3. Trust me, it works. So number 3 like this, and then pop another line there. And there you go, you've got an ear. It's a really good system if you want to just quickly add an ear. Definitely recommend. I'm gonna add some hair, just a little bit here, make it look a little bit more normal. I'll add the background free so we can see it in practice. There we go, that will do. Now this is what I call guidelines. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a second color, this dark purple, to show you where to go from here, how to build up the face. Out of everything, eyes have the most variety. It's important to know what kind of eye you want to create before you start. Okay, so in the inner corner of our eyes, we want to add some little arrows, almost a bit like triangles. As I said, it can be different for everyone, so make sure you have a reference. Then we need to find the next point, so it's going to be further along, and this one is about here. A little bit squiggly with a pen, but you get the idea. And then on the other side, we're going to almost join it up. There we go, just to get an idea in place. Now when it comes to the actual eyeball, the iris, you've got to picture it as if the iris is in the entire eyeball. Okay, so this is our full socket. Picture a circle that is like this. Now that looks creepy, bear with me on this. And this is going to help you figure out how to get the right angle, because you're actually starting straight rather than fully curved. The best way to make an eye look like an eye is actually to add the highlight. Big oval here and then like a little one, and you can just pop the black part in the center, which is purple. Now you can see this eye is a little bit off, it is a bit bigger, so I'm just going to pull that line in a touch. The eyes always look a little bit kind of sad until we add the lashes. So then with the eyebrows, we want to follow the brow bone. This is actually the nose, so this is going to go like that. Our eyebrows, depending on shape, want to start here. You want big eyebrows or small eyebrows, completely up to you. And all you want to do is just follow what's already down. Moving on to the nose. So we're going to do a circle that goes like this, not all the way to your actual nostrils, but just the inner part. So if this is the bottom, I'm just going to pop a nice little circle here. And then it's super simple because this is our section. We can just add the little nostrils in there and then we can just follow it up. Next is this little part here. I like to do this before adding the lips to make sure it goes in the right place. Okay, so just below the nostrils, we're going to go down and then do a little arrow. Okay, now we've got the placement. We need to add a dot at either side of the circles. The circle is where our chin begins, so we know exactly where the lips need to go. When it comes to lips, there are a lot of different ideas. There are so many different ways to approach them. When you have your two dots at either side, you can either go down or up. So generally you'll see a lot of lips go like this, but sometimes when people stylize, you'll see them do the opposite, like this. All lips can look different. It's important to have your reference and follow your reference, but if you want to stylize it and change it to something else, then that's also completely fine. Like, it's your art. You make whatever you want to make. If you are following the first one, a good idea is to draw almost like a little heart. If you do a circle and then two little ovals underneath, so it almost looks like a heart like this, with a circle in the middle. That is a really good base. We got our circle, our little circular heart underneath, and from here it's just about adding the gaps. We'll carry on our circle underneath, and then we need to lift it slightly above these circles to join up. The shape of the top and bottom lip are so different on every single person, but as a general rule of thumb, we're going to do a slightly curved line here and then lift it up on either side and then join that up as well. Slight little curve here, and we don't want to have such sharp edges. Near the eye, go down and then join it up, down and join it up. And before we go into shading, I'm going to quickly swap to the black, overline everything so we can actually see it well. No, one is bigger. Is that more even? No matter how many times you draw eyebrows, it doesn't get easier. There's a big thing we need to talk about, and that is shadows and highlights. Super important when it comes to faces. Best thing you can do really is watch makeup tutorials. Honestly, that is how I learned. So it's a highlight on the nose and then a little dot on the end, and you've also got the top of your cheekbones here. There's also a slightly brighter part under your eyebrow, and bear in mind that the lid is generally lighter than the crease. There's also a shadow on either side of your nose. That's something else to bear in mind. And of course, the cheekbones. You're gonna have a shadow down here. You've also got a shadow under your chin. Look in the mirror, take photos, makeup tutorials. There is a general system. Oh, let's get another pan. Alrighty, this is our first highlight. Then we have down the bridge of the nose. There'll be a slight gap here in most cases because it will actually be a circle here. Then we have the top of the cheekbones and underneath the brows. Another one to be mindful of is the middle of the lid. This part here is in shadow. Okay, now for the shadows. Where our cheekbone goes out, this whole section here. As a general rule of thumb, this entire area is going to be slightly darker. So I'm just going to hatch that in. Next we have the nose, this entire section here, all the way up to the middle and along here. Again, we also have that shadow bit there, which is underneath the nose. We have this area next to the nose. This whole section is often in shadow, especially if there's hair. When it comes to the eyelids, you want the brightest part in the middle, and there'll be a slight bit of shadow on either side. A little bit here. The bottom lid, you can see, is a lot darker. Mine is actually darker in the crease, so I'm going to pop that in there. Another thing to note is that there's a slightly darker area on either side of your nose, and of course we have the crease, which is always going to have a bit of shadow. Generally, like with makeup, there will be a little bit of a darker edge around the hairline because that will just be underneath the hair, and a little bit on this side. Now, whilst we have the highlight on the nose and then we have the shadow, there is also a little bit of a mid-tone just in the middle here that we will darken, like so, and it's more of a mid-tone in between the eyebrows, so I just add a little bit of a mid-tone there in the middle. The lips, where they meet, this is a darker area. You can add a line connecting the nose to the mouth with the laughter lines. Generally the top lip is a little bit darker. You can see it's darker in the corner and then gets lighter in the middle. So we're going to pop that in all around it because the lip is slightly darker. The light hits the cheekbones, then you've got shadow, then you've got a little bit of light and a tiny bit of shadow before we hit the chin. So just going to add a little bit of shading on the corners and a little bit darker around the chin. A bit on either side, and of course the darkest part under the lip. The ears, do you remember the whole number 3 thing? Well, that's all in shadow. That means here we can just add our shadow behind the 3. Just be mindful of that if you add hair or jewelry or something. Okay, now under the chin, you can see the darkest area is below and then it goes a little bit higher. So we're going to add a nice big shadow underneath here and then just lift it up slightly at the sides. Honestly, you can add hair however you like. You don't have to add any shading if you don't want. The only part that's left really is the eye. Generally, you will have your middle section, lines and squiggles around the outside, and that is how you add the darker areas. Another thing I will say is a really big part. The eyes are in shadow. Do not forget your shadows because that is what will make it look more realistic. A little bit underneath the lash line, a little bit of shadow in the middle here, and also have it curve round and add a little bit at the bottom. Super light, but once you've added your eye, don't forget to add a little bit of blue around because this is also what's going to make it just have a little bit more depth. Super, super simple. I really hope I broke that down okay for you. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.